Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with my very first Mix It Up Monday, which is through Peacecraft Love on Facebook. And they'll take a sketch like this awesome sketch by Rochelle Spears and they will add mixed media and do their thing with it. So here is the sketch a little closer. It has 4 pictures, a couple of layers, 3 or 4 layers, and like a little journaling space. And like I said, it's by Rochelle Spears. And I have decided to use this Wild and Crazy. It's called About a Boy by Fancy Papers. It's Fancy Pants Designs. And it's double-sided. And I have this scrap right here. There's a couple of scraps and a tag I made for another layout and did not use. So I want to get that used if I can. And I love this paper. It's very fun and frilly. Not frilly. That's not the word I would use at all. But it's just really fun and it just kind of pops off the page. So I'm going to use some of these scraps for the the different paper layers, and then I'm going to put it all on white and then mat it on that black. And here I have a ton of different kinds of mixed media. This is Distressed Paint by Ranger and Tim Holtz, and it's Walnut Stain. And I also have Black Soot. And I also brought in a Craft Smart light yellow acrylic paint. And then I have a couple of Distress Oxides, one in Salty Ocean and one in Mustard Seed. And I just love Tim Holtz. All his colors and the way his inks work just make me happy. And then I have this Delusions shimmer spray, and this one is in Pure Sunshine, and I have never used it, so I have no clue what it's going to look like. And then these 2 Distress ink pads, Crushed Olive and Tumbled Glass. So my plan is to bring all of that onto this layout. And then here is my picture, and of course I have this little stencil, and it's from the Buenos Dias collection by Obed Marshall. And the pictures are of myself, my aunt, and my nephew and son in using mustaches. Long story. So I've got all of my goodies and this awesome sketch. So let's see how this goes. So let me just say, disclaimer. I am not a professional with mixed media. I literally just try things. I've never done what I'm doing right now before right this minute on camera because I'm a little cuckoo that way. I did know that this was going to bleed. There was no question in my mind. This paint is thin. It's not like a paste or anything. It is very thin. Not much different than like an acrylic. And so I knew it would bleed. I was okay with that. So going in, I was aware of that. So I do want to say that. However, I had no clue how this was going to turn out because I've only inked through this stencil once, and it was with an alcohol ink, henceforth why it is green. I have scrubbed that, and it comes off a little bit more when I go to clean my stencil from this paint. But yeah. So I'm just mostly trying to fill in the holes, not completely, because I don't need it to be like solid. I do want some empty spaces, and I know that there will be some places where the ink does not go. So I am perfectly fine with that, because some of the distress from the spray will help. And it's not oxides, so it doesn't react in a way like an oxide would with water, but it just kind of loosened it up and gives it gives it a couple of different colored textures in there. So then I take this black, which is also the distress paint, and I am going to just overlay that partially and turn it. Now I have an idea for how wide my the paper layers are going to be. So I know that some of this is going to get covered, but I wasn't sure how much. So I went ahead and went over a little bit more than I probably would have if I had known for sure how wide my stuff was going to be. But I wanted this to have time to dry and set before I added layers. So most of the right side of that does show. There's like a big, I don't know, inch or so left that you can see. And so I am perfectly fine with that. So I do spray this. Like I said, you're supposed to spray water on the oxides because that will affect it in ways. but I decided that I wanted to spray and kind of thin out where the big spots on the top are. And then when I use my heating tool, it kind of bubbles that up a little bit at the top in that part, and then right there where I'm working, it bubbles it up a little bit. So in person, it gives it a little bit of texture, which I like. So if you think this is crazy, it's about to get a little crazier. After going off camera and coming back, I get the same stencil out and the yellow acrylic, and I make a line straight down the middle. I'm not necessarily being careful not to get it outside of that strip of this little squares, like grid strip, but I am predominantly staying in that one line. And I started at the top and I go straight down, and I just ended up putting some down on a little, it is not on my mat. There is a little piece of acetate there that I put that on. So I am crazy, but I'm not going to put it right on my mat like that. I don't mind cleaning up a mess from working with inks and stuff, but I definitely am not going to make it worse than it has to be. So I did already throw out one of my, the white thing that it's sitting on is I usually will keep the first and last page of like a paper pad because it's a little thicker and I can work on that instead of having to pull out a different mat or something. I just use one of those so when they get grimy and gross, I can throw them away. So I am just going over this until it's reasonably thick, and that while the black and brown show through a little bit, it's more obvious that the yellow. So pulled that up and it is pretty much all connected, and I'm okay with that. I add a little bit more to the top because I want it to come off at the top and off at the bottom by like one square, and I didn't want to risk laying the grid back down. And since it's all kind of just a big blobby line, I just made a little dot part at the top and a little bit at the bottom. And then I get out my Distress Oxide in the Salty Ocean and tap that out on the right side only. And then I also do the Mustard Seed on the right side only. And then I get out this fancy Delusion spray in Pure Sunshine and tap that out on the left side only. So I was keeping it separated on purpose. It's an orange. I thought it would be like a yellow, but it's an orange and it's shiny and lovely. So then I cut some strips on this paper. I've decided that I want to go ahead and instead of putting my pictures on a mat, I'm going to put them on tags. So I make 4 tags that are no more than 2.5 inches tall because it's going to have to fit on this paper layers. So I make 4 of them, and they vary a little bit in size. I didn't want them to be uniform because the paper they're on is patterned, so it's going to be different. Every one of the tags is different. So some of them are like 2.5, some's like 2.25, somewhere in between there. So I just put them through this Dress My Craft tag maker, and I love that thing and use it often. So I make 4 of them, like I said, so that I can put my picture on them. So then I take the back side of that brown paper right there and flip it over, and that's what that orange polka dot is. So I've decided that I want to use this orange paper with polka dot as my second layer. And that really pretty flower that's up there at the top right corner of the bottom paper, I really want to incorporate that, or at least have that on here, just because it's so pretty and it brings in all the different colors. So I decided that I would move everything over a little instead of have it centered like it is in the sketch. So I move all of my papers over just a smidge more than they are right now, so that that flower is showing about almost 3/4 of the flower. So I realized when I put these papers down that the pictures were kind of disappearing. The wall in my mom's house is like a light ivory and tan, and so it kind of blended in with the paper. So I went ahead and matted all of them on white. And so now I am just going to go ahead and lay this down, and I brought it down to 12 inches so that I'd know where how much space I was working with, because actually I only have 11.5 by 11.5 because I trimmed the white paper I was working on so that it would be able to give me that black border in the end. So I move it down, and like I said, I want that floral to be shown, and some of it's obviously going to get covered with the first tag, but I like having most of it right there. So now I have that. I couldn't tell you what I'm doing right now because I'm disappeared. Oh, I was getting a piece of black paper. That's right. So I cut this out of the back black paper that I'm using. I hate wasting. So since it's all covered anyway, I get it out and I use my Tim Holtz distressor and I distress all 4 sides. And I know this is not long enough to go from the top to the bottom, leaving a little bit hanging off of the top of that blue floral and the bottom of that orange polka dot. And here I'm making it even shorter by tearing the top and bottom. However, I take the blue Distress ink and Tubman glass and I ink all the way around the entire thing. And where it turned into white paper, because it's going to be on white paper, I ink that to make it blue. And I love the way that turned out. So I know that I'm going to be able to make this work because behind one of the pictures I can cut the black and move it down. And so I start by putting my son and then myself, and in the picture or in the sketch they're tilted back and forth, and so I kind of wanted to do the same thing. So I put all of those down and then I trim that black strip, and like I said, I knew that it was going to not be long enough. So I get this picture of my aunt down and I tuck the black paper up underneath. I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about doing this so that I don't have any gaps. So I put the picture down of my aunt, and I only put some tape for my tape runner in the middle so that I'd be able to maneuver lift right and left, and a little bit on the bottom as well. So then I took all of those in, and now I trim that orange so that I have a little bit of hang off from the black at the bottom. And I really like the way that turned out. I love the tags. Adding that in there was a good last minute thought. So like I said, I wanted to use this tag. So I mat it on this little piece of blue paper. Well, I'm going to do that in a minute. First, I'm going to get the page together. Sorry. So I matted the white on the black, and I get this down so that I am happy with where it is. And like I said, you can still see all of the brown over on the right, the yellow strip completely, and a pretty good portion of the black. Now that lighter distressed grid part does get covered, and you know, it's one of those things like when you do mixed media, it's like, you know, you love how it looks and then you're like, oh, why did I have to cover it up? But that's okay. And if you noticed, I used my tape runner on the back of this layer stack, but I also used some Nuvo Deluxe because it's going on mixed media, and I just know that that does not always cooperate. So I mat this tag on this blue paper because I'm going to tuck it on that orange paper, and I want the blue to help it stand out. So I put it down on the blue paper, I trim around it, kind of wonky like, and then I am going to ink the sides so that where it touches blue, it stands out, and where it touches orange, it still stands out. So I ink the sides with the crushed olive, which is that green, and I drop my ink pad because I'm really good at making messes like that. It's all good. And I inked a little of the side because I wasn't sure if it would all get covered underneath there. And then I just tack that down, and I will later do my journaling and write the date and everything there. I didn't want to do that while I was on camera because I had to think. And I really just wanted to get this part of it done. So then I know that I do not want empty tag holes, and I do actually leave one, and I will fix that. So when you see the final pictures, there is an empty tag hole, but it will be taken care of. Don't worry. So I use my Paper Studio black, white, and gray, and I use the black ones on the outside and the white ones on the inside because that white is going to be right on top of where the paper is already white. So I thought that would stand out better. And then I get these, I think these are from Stickopotamus or Stickabilities, and they're mustaches, and they're separated. And so I just tuck one side in on the right of the picture and one side on the left. And I do that with all 4 pictures. And it just adds this fun little, design. And I really think that I love that. So then I have this fuzzy one, which is also from the same people who created the other ones. And I think that it's Stickabilities, but I can't remember for sure. They were out of the package. So I've got it on some acetate right now so that it's not actually sticking down. But I was going to try and put it almost like a bow on top of that tag that I put down. But it was too wide and it was going to cover my aunt's face, so I decided against it. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do my title and what I want to title it. And so I decide that I'm going to put the mustache over here in the general location of where the title is in the sketch. And I am going to pull out my Sticko Puffy Alphas in black. And I'm going to write Bash underneath there. So the title officially to me is Stash Bash, which came to me just because, a lot of people do stash bashing with scrapbooking, so it made me laugh. If I had written it out, I would have written Stash Bash and spelled stash, at the end of mustache, but I decided just to use the mustache and let it do part of the job for me. So I get that in there to where it fits perfectly, and I really love the way this is starting out. And then I want to finish things up by adding some more of the enamel dots. So I get a few more of the white and black, and then I also pull some Park Lane ones that are yellow in that same yellow color of the ink, and I put that down. And then I also pull a blue one that is pretty much the same color as the blue paper. And so I make 3 clusters of 3 enamel dots in 3 different places. One right up there at the top, and I do move those around to put the black on the paper, and then one down in the black so that it's not completely empty. That's where I'm going to write the title. The date is on that black, and then the journaling will go on the tag. And now I'm thinking I'm done. So here is the sketch. I hope you all will join the hop, and please go down below in the description and follow all the amazing people who are creating with this hop. It has been so fun, and I hope to get to do this again. It's once a month, the second Monday of the month. So if you're interested, go to Facebook and Peacecraft Love, and hopefully you will join us next time. So there's that blank tag hole. I promise it's going to get covered, you all. I won't leave that empty like that. That's terrible. So have a great day and happy scrapping.